Welcome to the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast, where we explore the exciting world of artificial intelligence and its impact on marketing. Every week, we feature in-depth conversations with industry leaders, technology experts, and marketing professionals. Our guests share their insights and experiences on how AI is transforming marketing and providing businesses with a competitive edge, keeping you up to date on the latest trends and best practices in AI-powered marketing. Now, whether you're new to the world of AI or an experienced professional, the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast is the perfect place to learn about the latest advancements and how they can be applied to your business. Join us each week and let's explore the intersection of AI and marketing together. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast. My name is Matthew Maniak, your co-host, here with Tony Aponte. How's it going, Tony?
Good. How are we doing, Matthew?
Doing good, doing good. And for our listeners today, we've got a very fun and exciting topic that we know has been on a lot of your minds for a very long time, and that is the fears of AI. And yes, we're kind of deviating just a little bit from the marketing aspect to delve into this, but we think that this information is going to be of high value and something that you're going to want to be able to know and take with you as you delve into using these AI tools for your marketing purposes and everything else. So to get us started, I think we need to really delve into the question of, is AI coming for our jobs? And if you've been listening to this podcast for any span of time, you already know how Tony and I feel on that. But Tony, kind of tell me what for those of you that may be new to the podcast, Tony, is AI tools coming for our jobs?
So that's a that's a double-edged sword question, right? Because the answer could be a yes and a no, right? So, because there's going to be a lot of tasks that AI will be able to take care of that maybe a human being, does right now. However, is it going to replace humans? No, uh, it's not. Androids, AI, we start talking about all that. Think about Terminator, right? Um, but
But more on that later.
yeah, we'll be delving into that a little bit later on. But we still have a long way to go before it gets to a point where AI will be able to think for themselves, right? So at the end of the day, we're, as human beings, we still have the power of thought, the power of reasoning, and being able to expand into our creativity. So short answer is, I would say yes and no. Yes, it's going to get rid of a lot of the mundane stuff that can be automated, right? But I think the way I look at it is that should be a good thing, right? Because just the boring stuff, just kind of where you're coming into work and you're like, oh, I got to do these same things over and over and over. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that at one point in time throughout your workday, you're like, oh, I wish there was a better way of doing this, right? I wish there was a faster way of doing this, So, let's just be honest, okay? So those are the things that AI definitely can help out. And what this does, I think, is going to open up an opportunity for everyone to really expand into what they really can do, right? It's going to get rid of, take some of that stuff off their table and let them focus on some of the stuff that they're really good at.
Right. And I think something that we need to consider too, right, is we look at these tools out there like Zapier and things like that. In some ways, the application of Zapier could be likened to the capabilities of artificial intelligence and kind of what that's unlocking for us, right?
Right.
It's automation of small tasks that over time add up to countless and countless hours of mundane tasks and lost revenue for businesses. Like if you were to think, 5, 6 years ago, I mean, I'm not quite sure when Zapier was actually, released, but thinking back to before that, if you were getting leads from some sort of marketing advertising campaign, you were managing all that manually, right?
Oh,
And then Zapier and things like that came out to automate and accelerate some of those processes. And I mean, that people may have had someone that was manually copying and pasting over that data day in and day out.
Yeah.
But it just like you said, it's not effective, it's not efficient. And
No.
these tools are here to help us and make our jobs more efficient, our processes more effective, and things like that. And I don't think that we have to worry about AI coming for our jobs because I think it was Alex Hormozy. I was scrolling through Instagram. And he said something recently, and uh, something to the extent of in an AI powered future, we will have the choice of human made, right? It's like farm grown or grass fed,
Right.
right?
Right.
Versus the uh, GMO food, right? That we have now.
No.
It's going to be kind of the same thing, right? Do you want
No.
grass fed, human made, or GMO, AI
Yeah.
made? And not to say that there's going to be such a discrepancy in the product because GMO has been proven over time to not be as healthy as grass fed, but it's
Right.
going to be a choice in the marketplace that people and consumers will have the opportunity to choose for themselves what they want. And so I just like you said, yeah, I don't think that our jobs are going anywhere. I think that just the jobs are going to transform, right? just
No.
just like a graphic designer before Photoshop and a graphic designer after Photoshop. It's the same job, just with a different tool.
Right. Yeah. I think we need to trademark that and make a stamp made by humans.
We'll have AI do it for us.
There you go.
um, but I mean, kind of along that lines, kind of goes into the next point that we kind of have prepared for everybody today, and that's the fear that AI is going to lead to the loss of human skills. And I think that is something that we need to be very aware of. And I think that that is a real danger um, with these tools and people using them in a way that is not conducive to their intent. And not to say that it's intentional. I think in many cases it's wholly unintentional that people are going to be using these tools and they're just going to get lazy. They're going to stop thinking. They're going to be like,
Yeah,
oh, ChatGPT, AI can go and build this for me, which it can,
you
but
can. Yeah.
it's not going to, in many cases, it can. But at the same time, it's not going to be that custom element, that custom product or custom output that you either need it to be or that you think that you want it to be. And I think that as these tools continue to develop and evolve and become more comprehensive, I think that with that we do run into this incoming obstacle, this incoming challenge of people kind of forgetting how to do things and just leaving it up to the AI. And I think that that's where a
Mhm.
lot of problems
Right.
could come into play.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we talked about this quite a bit in the beginning, the first couple of episodes about how, you could literally, take whatever ChatGPT gives you, right? Just put it in and it puts it out and you just put it on your website or whatever, but that, if you're the type of person that wants to put your best foot forward and be the best at what you're doing, you're going to take whatever output it is and, refine it for yourself, make it better for whatever it is that you're looking to get done. And that's where the differentiation is going to come in. You're going to see those that are just going to take whatever information it gives out and then turn it in, right? And then you've got the other side is where you're going to take the information, refine it so that way it meets you and your personality and it reflects your skills, because we still have our skills that we're going to have to tap into. And so I think that's where the separation is going to come in.
Yeah, creativity is a muscle, intelligence is a muscle, and if it's not exercised, then it atrophies. And when it
Yeah.
atrophies, that's when you run into problems because
Right.
at the end of the day, right? It's like and I guess at that point, that's probably when the AI is going to come for your job because you're not making it your own,
Right.
right? And I mean, again, take that with a grain of salt.
Or yeah. Or on the other side, someone else that is using AI at the maximum level and being able to deliver higher level results, it's going to take your job.
Right, right. And so yeah, so like along those lines, the moral of the story here, guys, is don't AI can't take your job, and people with AI can't take your job unless you let AI take your brain first. And
Right.
that's where we want to be making sure that we're using these tools for what they are, as tools and not as a substitute for our creativity, our ingenuity, our innovation. And I think that that's where, yeah, where a lot of people will need to uh, be conscious of and be cognizant of as these things develop and as the landscape continues to evolve. Because I think we're going to find a lot of people that will, they'll stop asking questions, they'll stop thinking for themselves. I mean, we're seeing a trend of that in recent years, just in general. And I think that this AI, in some ways, can exacerbate that if we let it. And I think that if we're conscious of the output, conscious of what these really are, and use them for the aspect of them being a tool to be leveraged to make us more effective and more efficient, then I think we're going to be in a good spot. Um, but kind of along those lines, leading to the concern of economic inequality, because that's going to be, I mean, that's always been a big thing that I know that worries a lot of people is will this exacerbate the the wealth gap, right? And I think that there's two different ways I think that you can look at it, because in a lot of ways, AI has kind of been heralded as the great equalizer, right?
Hmm.
In the sense of a lot of the capabilities that these larger firms, larger corporations have had now is in the hands of the common man or woman.
Right.
And in that regard, I think that there is a lot of opportunity here. There is an incredible amount of opportunity with these AI programs that are out there. Um, but on the flip side, I think that it also has the potential to really widen the wealth gap larger than it actually already is.
Right.
And I think the reason for that, just like you said, it's a double-edged sword. Those that know and learn how to use this to its maximum capacity are going to be the ones that excel and are able to bridge the gap. And it's the people that either struggle to or uh, choose not to or have no desire to adapt to the changing times. I think that they're going to be the ones that struggle a little more
Right.
in the years to come.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. And we can kind of compare this to back whenever the internet came out, right? And as time goes on, you know, a small business that just feels that they don't need a website online, they're like, oh, I don't need a website. I get enough referrals or whatever, right? Versus a business that does have a good website online, and they're getting in more leads. They're being able to get found online a lot faster than the other one is. That's where the separation is. That, and I think that's where the same can be applied to AI. Those that just kind of reemphasize a little bit of what you just said, Matthew, is that those that do decide to take advantage of it and really dive into it and learn it well to use it for whatever their needs are, those are the people that are going to stand out. They're going to move faster than those that decide that they just don't need to do anything with it.
Right. And I mean, right, to that same point, there was an article that I read a while ago, long before we even started this podcast, long before this podcast was even an idea. And the basic concept of it was there's going to be a new class system, so to speak, within the next decade that we're going to see start to emerge. The new upper class is going to be the people that manufacture these AI tools, that provide them, that develop them, and that keep them at the top of their game. The emerging middle class is going to be the people that know how to use the AI tools, and then the new lower class is going to be those that use the output of AI and don't know
Right.
how to use the tools. And
Right.
and I think that when I saw that, I was like, you know what, that makes sense, right? It's a reasonable belief that if you do not know how to use these tools, you're going to be left behind, and no one is going to pity you because of not having the skill sets that are needed to remain competitive.
Right.
And we're not. and again, I want to reemphasize that we're not saying this to scare anyone. We're not saying this to be fear mongers of the changing times. No, what we are here to do is to provide information and insight on what we are seeing, what the trends of the industry are, and be able to outfit our listeners with the tools and with the knowledge that you guys need to be able to make the best decisions and to be able to not be left behind in the AI wave that is here.
Yep.
We're still in the infancy of the technology, and there's still a lot of opportunity. It's like the just like you said, Tony, when the internet started, right? The people that made the most money are the ones that jumped on it the soonest and learned the kinks out the soonest, to
Mm.
be able to deploy strategies and to deploy products that millions and millions and millions of people are now using today.
Yep.
And I think that again, yeah, as long as you take the time to learn the basic skills now, you're going to be fine in the long term.
Right.
But take the time to learn it now.
Yep. Yeah. And I just want to throw something in there, something that, you know, um, I learned a long time ago. Um, you know, there's when it comes into the business world, there's always going to be a need for employees, and there's always going to be the leaders, right? And some people are fine with being employees. Some people are fine with being the followers because they're, the cycle has to run anyways, right? So there's a place for everybody. And then there's a lot of people who are just fine with that. But like me and you, Matthew, we're entrepreneurs. That's not me. I want to be at the forefront. I want to be at the leadership part to help drive forward progress, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There is nothing wrong with that. If you're happy with what you're doing, then that's not to say that that you're just it's you're irrelevant. It's just facts, and as long as you are willing to accept that, um either side of the story, it's just the biggest question is, where do you want to be at when it comes to technology and progress and growth, right? And so that was something that was kind of told to me many, many, many years ago. And and it's true. There's a need for everybody. It's just a matter of what you want to do with yourself and your success.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, this next point here, I think, is going to be very important, and the algorithms are either going to love us or they're going to hate us for saying it. But misinformation.
Right.
Um, so obviously we've seen a lot more of this concept of misinformation coming together here within the past, what, 3, 4, or 5 years,
Yeah.
than it ever has before. Coming out of the whole COVID-19, there's another buzzword for the algo, uh, pandemic, right? Like we saw a vast separation of what is true versus what is not, and the capacity of having to now ask the question of, is the information that I'm seeing true? We've seen that a lot more since that time than I think that we've ever seen ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
in modern history. But I mean, the question of how does that impact AI? How does that integrate within the AI conversation? Is the databases and the knowledge bases behind it, and kind of leaning
Right.
or looping back to our earlier point of losing human skills as a result of over reliance on AI. I think the same can be applied to the aspect of over reliance of trust on these AI tools.
Yep.
And I mean, again, these AI tools are constantly evolving and constantly growing and constantly developing, but they're not perfect.
Yeah.
The earlier iterations of ChatGPT, if you asked it what weighs more, a pound of bricks or a pound of feathers, some people got the result of a pound of bricks, even
Right.
though they're both a pound. For those
Yep.
of you that might be thinking the same thing, because yeah, but it's that same kind of thing, and not to say that it's that in that case that's misinformation, but as humans, we are predisposed to certain biases, whether
Yep.
that be political, whether that be
Right.
religious, whether that be whatever. And these AI tools were built by people.
Mm-hmm.
These AI tools were not built by other AI tools. We're not quite there yet. But
Right.
these AI tools were built by people, people that have inherent bias. And again, whatever way that skews doesn't matter for the point of this conversation.
Right.
And we need to be aware of that when we're using them, right? And I mean, you can use these tools for all the reasons and all the applications that you want to or need to, but you
Mm-hmm.
got to be aware that there is a possibility that the information either A may not be accurate fully. I mean, just look at ChatGPT, at least the free version. Its data set is capped off post, I think it's September of 2021 or something like that.
Yep.
So there's a data cap on that. There are certain elements of the internet that we as people can't access, like the deep web and things like that. And AI, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say it's probably the same, that it stays away from that side of the internet. But there's limitations to its knowledge base, and in some ways those databases can be manipulated. And
Right.
so when we use these tools, we have to be conscious that in some cases, again, whether that be intentional or not intentional, there may be a bias, there may be a skew of the data, and that is where human intelligence really can then be able to shine and be able to make the call within the context, right?
Yeah.
To be able to use your own discretion to make the decision of what information that you want to take out of what this AI is going to give you.
Yeah. And I think, and where it's really, really important that you understand where it is that you're getting the information, because again, that output is driven by what someone inputted on the back end. And it's just like doing research online, right? When you Google something, you go online and you've got a million different types of results of where that answer can come from. And every website has their own version of the answer. So now it's just a matter of, what is it that you trust and what is it that you don't trust? And it's the same exact application to AI.
Yeah.
And
And
using that kind of as a information, knowledge base. So it's important that you really are conscious of that, and not lean on it 100%. Do your own due diligence to make sure that you're getting the best level of quality of information at one, from one spectrum to the other.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think to close us out here, we'll hit on the one that's on everybody's mind: Skynet. Is it coming? Is it not coming? Is this the beginning of the end? Is Sarah Connor out there somewhere?
Right.
So Tony, what's your take on that?
No, I don't think we're there yet. We've got a while before we get there. It's great for entertainment, right? And it does create that conversation as to where are we? If you would have said that we would have been talking about AI right now 5 years ago, we'd be like, huh? Well, no, we're way too far off, right? But we're here, right? Now, and this is kind of how it all starts, as far as technology, it progresses, it gets better and better and better, and you know will it happen? I don't know. It I'm just going along for the ride right now, and taking advantage of the possibilities, and see what happens. I'll be watching a lot more of the Terminator movies.
Same, Tony, same. I mean, my take is pretty similar there. I mean, there's areas that we can see that there's unchecked, unprotected development of technology, and I think now we're seeing a more public call for uh, regulation, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
in the sense of, I mean, are we there yet? I don't think so.
No.
Do do we in an unchecked timeline have the capacity to get there? I think we do.
Hmm.
But I think it's only if we, again, keywords unchecked, unregulated. And I think that as long as we don't place the technology in positions or place these algorithms in positions to where they are able to connect with all of the different tools that say the terminators are able to connect to, then I
Yeah.
think that we're going to be fine. But I
Yep.
think that it's as the technology develops, I think that we will need to be able to check ourselves on the way that we interact with it. Because right now you can go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, make me this," da 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 da, and then it's going to do it because it's not programmed for emotion. But I think once we start to have uh, AI tools that are able to process and compute on emotional inputs and emotional context, then I think that we will need to be more cognizant and conscious of how we interact with them, because then they're going to have feelings at some point in the
Yeah.
future, I believe, and then they're going to the gap between humans and say metahumans, I guess we can call them at that point,
Yeah.
will that the gap will then start to shrink, right? Like we've seen Ex Machina, we've seen all the movies out there where the robots and the AI and the androids, start to develop emotions and things like that. And I know we're kind of going down a rabbit hole on that, but just being aware of the capabilities and the capacities of these technologies, I think is going to be how people are going to be best served, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
and and the only way to really start to grasp the capabilities of these things is to interact with them.
Yep.
And if those of you listening have any questions, have any additional desire to delve into these tools, maybe you are just kind of new to the AI space and don't know where to go, or maybe you've been in it for a bit and you're already implementing some automation systems into your business that are AI powered. I think that regardless of where you are on the spectrum, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to learn specifically, or if there's any way that we can help you to excel in this AI wave that we're in, shoot us a message, shoot us an email at ASM Podcast on Instagram, and then podcast at artificiallysmartmarketing.com.
Yeah. The one thing that I think about in respects to this whole, Skynet thing and everything, we still have a long way to go before something like that could even happen. Because what's going to happen right now, everyone is jumping on AI on how they can use it to be better, how they can grow their business, how they can automate, and in order for it to get to that level, AI has got to be so intelligent that it doesn't need us anymore. And I think that's a very, very, very long time from now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But if you want to see how far some of this AI stuff has come,
Yeah.
go look up
Oh, for
the
sure.
the the AI press conference in Geneva that just happened. I think a few days before we recorded this, they had the first AI press conference where they brought together, I think it was like four or five of the big AI robots, and asked them questions for in a press environment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, Tony, but I looked up some clips and it was really, really cool, kind of how that developed. And it's like you said, if you had told me 5 years ago that we'd be having AI press conferences,
Right.
I would have been like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And wasn't it you that showed me a little while back about the first AI DJ up in New York, I think it was.
That
There's an
wasn't me, but I'm gonna have to look that up now.
Yeah, there's they just launched the first AI DJ radio station DJ up in New York. It's all driven by AI.
That's weird because do people still listen to radio?
I know, right?
AI is coming for radio too, guys. No.
Yeah.
Um, but awesome, awesome. Thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast. We hope you found this information valuable. If you have any questions, shoot us a DM, shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to help you guys out. And until next time, have a great week.